Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Wednesday morning. We got a lot to get to right out of the gate here, a lot of BYU basketball. The head coach, Kevin Young, meeting with the media. We will get to that coming up. We also talked with Mark Durrant yesterday about how BYU can adjust and try to squeeze out some wins here, see what kind of damage they can do in the NCAA tournament. What is the floor? What is the ceiling for these guys now? You'll hear from him coming up. But we're going to start with Olympic hockey. Mike Folta came on yesterday, voice of the Utah Mammoth on the radio here. And the United States is in the quarterfinals, and there are four guys from the Utah Mammoth playing for four different teams. J.J. Peterka, we'll talk about him with Mike. Germany beat France 5-1, so Germany is into the quarterfinals. Also, Sweden beat Latvia 5-1, so Sweden will play the United States today in the fourth quarterfinal game. And we'll see what happens there as far as the U.S. I would expect they advance. They've had a really strong tournament so far, but you never really know, right? So here's Mike Folta talking hockey and talking Olympic hockey with PK and I right here on The Zone. Group play's all done. The U.S. sails through 3 wins in 3 games, plus 11 in goal differential, just dominating. Do you see, you just said a gold medal in your teeth, do you see Clayton Keller biting a gold medal in a photo a few days from now?
Well, that's I guess the big question, and it's not just the U.S. and Canada, right? I think that's what we're all looking forward to. That's what we all want to see. These two rival countries go head-to-head in a best-on-best setting like what we have in the Olympics. There are some other good teams in this tournament. You have a really good Sweden team that the U.S. could potentially have to play on Wednesday. The Americans will play the winner of Sweden and Latvia. You've got, a Czech team that has some good goaltenders that could get hot, but really none of these other teams have showed the type of dominance that the U.S. and Canada has had. And so it feels like we're on a U.S.-Canada collision course, which is, of course, what we all want. The Americans haven't looked as dominant as the Canadians have. Boy, you look up front for Team Canada, they've got Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon and this 19-year-old Macklin Celebrini kid who's not scared of anything and is tied for the league or tied for the tournament lead in goals. He's been fantastic. And Crosby, like the Americans can't necessarily match the Canadian firepower up front, but I think the Americans have the better goaltending situation and probably some more dynamic defensemen as well. So that'll be a great matchup. I don't think we've seen Team USA play its best yet. I think they're still coming together, and hopefully they can before that gold medal game.
Keller had a couple of games he didn't play, then got in there. From your perspective, you think he's comfortable with what's going on? I mean, he's a younger guy, but he's not that young.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Like in an all-star situation like this where everybody's good. It's tough when you're used to being the top guy on your team, used to being the captain, the leader of the Utah Mammoth, and you go to Team USA and you're just another one of this group of great players. Now, we actually did just a few minutes ago see some reports online from some reporters who were there in Milan saying that Keller is taking line rushes with the third line again at practice. So that typically means that he's practicing with a group that's getting ready to play. Yeah. So it sounds like he's going to be playing in this next game on Wednesday, a quarterfinal game between the winner of Sweden and Latvia. So that's good news for Mammoth fans who want to see Clayton Keller play. He played the other day against Germany. I thought he looked good. Didn't have any points, but played alongside Tage Thompson of the Buffalo Sabres and Dylan Larkin, the captain of the Detroit Red Wings. And I thought was really strong, made some good plays in the offensive zone, made some clean reads in the defensive zone to help break the puck out. The Americans were never under too much fire in that game against Germany, but I thought Keller played well enough to earn another chance, and it looks like he's going to get it.
Peterka had an assist in the 5-1 U.S. win over Germany. He got an assist on the German goal. What about the other guys in the Olympics? What do you think of their Olympic experiences, and what do you expect going forward?
Yeah, I think J.J. Peterka for Team Germany has been the most impactful of the Utah Mammoth who are playing at the Olympics right now. He's had a few assists. He's playing along with Tim Stützle. Those are probably the second and third best German forwards in the world right now, with Leon Draisaitl being the best. But Peterka is playing alongside his old buddy Stützle. Those two played together back in World Juniors for Team Germany, and they've been really effective together. Stützle's been really, really dynamic for Team Germany, and Peterka has helped him do so. So that's been encouraging to see. He actually scored a goal this morning, J.J. Peterka, against France, with the winner of Germany and France playing Slovakia, I believe, on Wednesday. But JJ's been good. We've seen Olli Mata play third pair minutes for Team Finland. And guys, funny enough, we haven't seen Karel Vejmelka for Team Czechia at all yet. And they're playing Denmark right now, and it looks like he's not going to be in the game again, which the Czechs have three good goaltenders. Lukáš Dostal, the Anaheim Ducks. Dan Vladar has been good for the Philadelphia Flyers this year. But you're talking about a guy in Karel Vejmelka who leads the NHL in wins right now, and he hasn't gotten in a game for the Czech Republic. And that's surprising because the Czechs let in quite a few goals the first two games they played. So I honestly don't know why we haven't seen him. If I work for the Mammoth PR department, which I don't, but if I did, I would be spinning it as, yeah, the guy who's played the most games as a goalie in the last year is getting some rest, right. And the Mammoths are going to be able to lean on that over the last 25 games of the regular season. But I really expected to see Veggie at some point for Team Czechia, but not so yet.
Well, you know what the Czechia doctors say, no veggies, no good for you.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I knew you were bilingual, PK. I just didn't know it was Czech that you could speak as well.
Yeah, sure. What do you need? You talk about them getting rest or him getting rest for when the season resumes. What's the plan as far as when they reconvene? Is it like a little mini camp? What you know what's going to happen?
Well, practices have started already. This today, actually. Practice starts today. So some of the guys have been skating for a few days already now. These guys need some time off to shut it down, but they don't like to be off the ice that much during the season. So I know a few of the guys went to some sunny places and shut it down for a few days, but I saw a couple of the guys in the airport when I got back on Thursday, and they're like, "Yeah, we're skating here pretty soon." So practice starts today for the guys who are not with the Olympic teams, of course. And then even before that, guys were getting on the ice, just kind of feeling it out a little bit and getting back to work. And everybody knows what's at stake for this Mammoth team. Playoffs is still the expectation, but it's not going to be easy to stay in this playoff spot that they have. There's a bunch of teams around them that are within striking distance, within a game or two of knocking the Mammoths out of that playoff spot. And Utah has to be really on its toes once we restart the season. And any lapse could be a death knell against your playoff hopes. So we're starting practice again today for everybody besides those at the Olympics, and for me. I'm taking the optional, and I'm back home again in Indiana, as we say, getting some more R&R, as us broadcasters like to do. But practice starts today, and guys, remember this too. We were talking about Vejmelka. Last year, Karel Vejmelka started, I believe it was 23 of the last 24 games of the season. Or I think it was 24 of the last 25. He started 23 straight at one point to end the season. So the Utah Hockey Club last year leaned on him down the stretch of the season when they were trying to punch their ticket to the playoffs. I don't know if we're going to see that type of workload again this year, But in the last 25 games of the season, I think heading into that, it's a good thing for Veggie to get some rest during this Olympic break and not have to face 40 shots a game like you would if he was playing against Team Canada or Team U.S.
This is, for most of this generation, this first chance they've had a chance to play in the Olympics. It's been so long since the NHL sent there. And obviously, whenever leagues let their players go do stuff internationally, we've heard NBA owners talk about this too, there's a risk of injury, and it can impact the playoff race. And one of the teams, because it's like six or seven teams for 3 or 4 spots, however you want to count it up in the West, one of the teams that Utah's battling is the LA Kings, and the Kings lose Kevin Fiala. He's stretchered off the ice. It's a broken leg, and he's like their second leading scorer. He's basically been a 25-goal, 40-assist guy for them over the last couple of years. So is this the kind of thing teams are going to want to do, or are people going to, the owners who don't want to do this and the people in the Players Association who don't want to do this are going to look at this and say, hey, this is exactly why we shouldn't be doing this. Let's not do this again. Or has the rest of the tournament been so good that people are going to want to do it again in 4 years, and more importantly, in 8 years when the games are here?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, the owners and the general managers hate it, right? Because a guy gets hurt, and what do they get? They get nothing. It just hurts their chances. Now, in the Kings' case, they lose Kevin Fiala, who right now is their second leading scorer. He's done for the rest of the year. Good news for the Kings is that they just traded for Artemi Panarin from the New York Rangers, and he's one of the best goal scorers, one of the best players in the NHL right now. And so they're not made whole by losing Kevin Fiala necessarily, but they've got an even better player coming in to add to their roster after the Olympics. So it's not all doom and gloom in Kingsland right now down in LA. But you're right. Like, the owners and GMs hate it. It happened last year where Matthew Tkachuk got injured for Team USA and missed basically the last portion of the regular season. He got injured in 4 Nations. And then came back in the playoffs. Charlie McAvoy got banged up at the 4 Nations and was hurt for Boston. So this stuff happens. It happens, especially in the high leverage games when you're going, what to the wall trying to win a medal for your country. And I think the allure of the Olympics is just so big because it's such a big deal for the players. Like, the players are going to fight tooth and nail for this. And it's such a big deal for the sport, too. Like, it's good for the sport, especially with this Olympics in Milan. And you think of how the U.S. has been trying to grow the game in Europe. Like, the NFL has these international games, right? They're going to Australia. They go to Mexico. They go to places where they're trying to grow the game. The NHL has done this, too. They've done it with Germany. They've done it with Sweden. They've made it a point to bring the NHL game to Europe to try and strengthen hockey roots over in that part of the world. And so, especially this year where you're in Italy and you can try and strengthen these hockey fan bases in Europe, like, it's a slam dunk from the league office point of view. It's just not maybe something the owners are going to see like that direct return on investment from right away. And that sucks when your second best player goes down due to injury. But fingers crossed we don't have any more big injuries the rest of the way. It is, I will say too, the international game, like when it's controlled by the IIHF, the International Hockey Federation, it's still physical, but it tends to be a little bit less physical. Now, I think playing on an NHL-sized rink, like if we get U.S.-Canada, that's going to look like an NHL game and then some with the physicality. But for the most part, these games are not as physical as NHL playoff games. The international game just isn't necessarily played that way. Like, they don't allow fighting, stuff like that. So it is a little different, but yeah, owners hate it. Everybody else, we love it.
There is Mike Folta, the radio voice of the Utah Mammoth. When we come back, we're going to go to Kevin Young's press conference and hear what the BYU coach has to say about his Cougars as they prepare for Arizona tonight in Tucson. That's next. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK, and a reminder to join Scotty G Wednesday from noon to 3 at Tim Daly Nissan Southtown, 11155 South Jordan Gateway in South Jordan. Time now to go to Provo and hear Kevin Young's press conference. What does he have to say in advance of the BYU-Arizona game tonight? Here's BYU's basketball coach, Kevin Young.
How much confidence do you have in a guy like Rob to step up and provide some of that scoring, maybe that you're going to miss from Richie going forward?
Yeah, first let me address Richie, if you guys don't mind. He in a lot of ways has been the flag bearer of just the Kevin Young era, so to speak. Just from day one, when he committed to coming back here, and then everything that he did last year and this year. In a lot of ways, just a poster child of everything that we were trying to do here. And so for that, I'll forever be grateful for Richie. I think he's everything that's great about a college basketball player. The amount of people, including opposing coaches within our league, that reached out to me, about Richie in the last couple of days, I think says a lot about him. Thing I love about him is just how much of a self-made guy he is. He's gotten himself to the point he's at because of sheer work and motor and effort and want to. And paid his dues and got a lot better. It's rare in this day and age, for a guy to do what he did here at BYU. And then lastly, just his commitment to BYU, his commitment to the community, to the university, the mission of the university. He's a BYU legend and will forever and always will be. And I just want to thank him and his family and everybody that's associated with him for the type of young man he is. Now, to the question you asked about Rob scoring more, yes, we're going to need him to be a play finisher a lot in conjunction with the playmaker. I think the way he's shooting the ball, both from three, and at the basket has been extremely impressive. And it allows AJ to play on the ball a little bit more and gives us another kind of guy who can kind of space the floor and be, like I said, a play finisher. So, Rob and AJ and everybody, quite frankly, is going to have a lot of things on their plate. And I know those guys are, those two in particular, are built for this type of thing.
All right, we'll go Darnell, then Dana.
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. Kevin, in terms of Richie being, a BYU guy and bleeds blue and shows everyone what it means to be a Cougar, it seems like NIL and the transfer portal kind of creates an atmosphere that doesn't make a lot of guys like that anymore. How important is it to try to find athletes to do that to help you build your culture?
It's a great question, and one, if I was a lifelong college coach, I would probably have a better answer for you. This is the iteration of college basketball that I know. I can only imagine what it was like back in the day when you could have, the same players for 3 to 4 years. That's amazing. I think in the NBA world, I think about the Spurs and the Bulls and the Warriors and these teams, even some of my short stints, like with the Suns, where you're getting the same guys year after year. That's how you build continuity, and it's very difficult in this day and age. And so you ask, how important is it? If you can do it, I think it's wildly important. How likely and realistic is it? That's a whole other question. Now, I do think at BYU specifically, there's guys that are drawn to BYU for reasons that are greater than basketball, and maybe we can build on, some of those young men. We have a couple coming in, in this recruiting class. But even that's not a shoe-in, right? I think you still have to, at the end of the day, you still have to help young men get better. You have to prove to them that you know what you're doing, so they're invested in your program. And then, like it or not, the economics have to match for both parties, and that's a challenge. There's no getting around it.
Yeah, my second question has to do with the freshmen in the league. You have a great freshman in AJ. It seems like every night in the Big 12 you're playing against another freshman that's really good. Do you think there are one or two aspects of their development in high school that may lead them to be not only good freshmen, but guys that can take over games?
Yeah, I don't know if I could point to one thing that this freshman class would have in common as it relates to their high school careers. I think this is just a historically good class, and it's all been. I think you have to give the coaches throughout our league and the country credit where, to empower freshmen, to put them in positions so that they can showcase what they can do. I think that's easier said than done. And to this class's credit, I mean, they've all answered the call and then some, right? So, I don't know. I don't know if I would point to one thing from their high school careers. I just think it's a historic class that you stumble upon, every so often.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned Rob Wright to help pick up some of that scoring slack. What about some of the other guys with Kennard and Kostic and Mihajlo and those guys? What have you told them about being more involved in both sides of the ball, but particularly off?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to have more opportunity. I think you saw it in the Colorado game. That was an extremely difficult game just from an emotional standpoint. One of the hardest games, if not the hardest game I've ever had to coach in, if I'm being honest with you. But I think you saw where multiple guys have had to step up. Tyler comes in right out of the gate, bangs 2 threes. Kostic bangs the big one. Mihai hits one. I think Kennard's playing a little bit more within himself, and I'm going to try to unlock him more. I think I've probably done him a disservice by trying to make him, a strictly a catch and shoot guy when he has a lot more to offer that I think we're going to see a lot more of now. And then we've got to explore other lineup combinations that we haven't looked at, and that's some things that we've looked at in practice. So, everything's on the table. I think where I draw the most excitement is I don't know, man. I think I do better in situations like this, back against the wall type of mentality. I've kind of operated that way my whole life, and I'm as energized as I've ever been as a coach, and I'm really taking this challenge head on. And I know a lot of people are writing us off, and I'm kind of relishing in that, and so are our guys. And when you got a group of guys like we do who are good young men, I think that they're going to rely on each other and band together, and I'm excited to see what this iteration of it looks like.
And then, going into a hostile place like Arizona, coming off 2 straight losses, they're going to be hungry. They're dealing with an injury of their own. What do you expect out of going into the McHale Center? Yeah, I mean,
look, that's going to be that would be a great atmosphere if they were still undefeated. The fact they've lost 2, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is it's not like, we're going to play extra hard because we've lost. Once you play the game, you got to execute the game plan. So every team needs wins this time of year, especially in our league. The standings are tight. Everyone's playing for something. So I've never bought into I say it to my guys all the time. I wake up motivated, and so I don't need extra motivation. I'm sure they don't either. We're hungry. They're hungry. It's going to be a good ball game.
All right, any other questions for Coach?
I can throw one more in there. You kind of mentioned that underdog mentality. Everyone's kind of writing you off, which is opposite for when you started the year. That big expectations. People talking Final Four. How do you use this to your advantage with the team? You talked about yourself, you like that. No one giving you a chance. Do you address that with your guys now that everyone's kind of written you off, and let's prove everyone wrong?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I met with Rob and AJ separately. I think those are 2 guys that, in a lot of ways can cement their legacy in college basketball with how they handle this time period between now and the end of the season. What kind of impact can they have? Can they elevate a team? And that's motivating in and of itself. And so with the whole group, though, it's a band of brothers. It's digging in. It's some guys that hasn't gone their way to this point. All right, well, guess what? You want more opportunity. You just got it. So now what are you going to do with it? And so, again, I'm extremely motivated, knowing that it's not going to be easy. But, nothing's ever really that easy. So, you got to figure it out. That's the bottom line. And like I said, I told our group yesterday, man, this is not new for me. I've been doing this. I coached in the minor leagues for 9 years. I've had my best player called up day of game multiple times. I've lost multiple players throughout seasons. You got to figure it out. You got to adjust on the fly. And, I try to say that to them so that they would have confidence to understand that they have a staff that, and it's not just me. I've got several guys who kind of their career path was that. And so drawing upon those past experiences for me gives me some confidence, and I hope it gives the group confidence as well. And, based on what I've seen in practice the last 2 days, I think, our group is ready.
How do you think this affects Richie's NBA draft status? Obviously, with coming off a major surgery like this, he's going to have. But when he's back to full strength, I assume it doesn't affect it at all?
Yeah, no, it's something that it's going to take a lot of due diligence, from his agent, from me as well, talking to different people. I do know that there's a boatload of people that love him. The good thing for Richie, and what he did at Kansas, I think probably helped his draft stock more than probably anything else that could have happened for this season. And look, I mean, in today's day and age, what happened to his knee is not the end of the world by any stretch. People come back from it all the time. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I'm hopeful that maybe it gives him a little bit more control in terms of what team he actually goes to, which in my estimation is one of the most important things any player going into the NBA could do, is to go to the right team, the right fit, the right organization. But we'll work hand in hand with his agency. I'll do anything I can to help him. I love that guy, and absolutely just wrecked that happened to him. But I think everyone that's followed Richie Saunders' career knows that if there's one guy in America that could work through some adversity and come back stronger, it's Richie Saunders, and I think everybody would agree with that.
All right, we'll finish with Jackson and then Patrick.
You've obviously played Arizona once this year, but in preparing for this rematch, have they added anything or changed it all in just preparing for them? Like, have they added anything over these past few weeks?
A few small wrinkles, but one thing I respect about Tommy is he's going to do what he does. And, you're going to have to stop it. And so I think there's a lot to be said about that. I think in terms of what could impact what they do or don't do differently, I mean, they're dealing with an injury with Koa Pete. His status seems up in the air for different things there. So we'll see. I think for the large majority, they're going to do what they do. And, this is a game where, we got to definitely worry about the game plan, because that's what you got to do in every game. But this is a game where we got to make it about BYU. We got to make it about us and not worry so much about what they're going to do.
All right, PK, you're up.
And, Coach, I assume you saw what A.J. said after the game Saturday. I'm paraphrasing, but they're asking about the guys who've had lesser roles now need to step up. He said something along the lines, and he's seen them in practice, and he has 100% confidence in them. I'm just wondering what you think, having a player who's obviously going to play in the NBA, saying he has confidence in these guys. To what level do they can draw some confidence from them, from their own teammates, and, of course, from the coaching staff? Yeah,
I think that's a huge comment for him to make, and it, belief is a beautiful thing. Like if I can quote Diljit Taylor, the great coach here at BYU, that's pretty much her big mantra, is just how much she believes in her athletes. And so, I've learned a lot from her on that. But yeah, a guy like AJ, who's as talented as he is, to have belief in our guys, I think it speaks to what he sees every day in practice, as he mentioned. But listen, I wish Richie was still healthy. There's no getting around that. However, I'm a silver linings guy. I think it takes the pressure off some of the guys coming off the bench, knowing that they're going to get a little bit extended opportunities. People know I think we have to do it a little bit more. Obviously I was going really heavy on not using the bench a ton, and now we don't have a choice. And so there's a lot. I've seen this in the NBA world, man, where people go out and other guys step up. I've seen it time and time again. And so AJ adding fuel to that fire in a good way, I think, just is the more the merrier.
There's BYU basketball coach Kevin Young. When we come back, longtime radio announcer Mark Durrant, former player, now broadcasting the games, joins PK and I. More on the Cougars in Arizona tonight and how BYU can adjust now that they've lost Richie Saunders to an ACL injury. Durrant's coming up next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, we are brought to you by University of Utah Health. At University of Utah Health, hope is in our DNA. Learn more at uofuhealth.org. We are joined right now by Mark Durrant, BYU basketball radio analyst. Mark, good morning.
Hey, good morning, David and Pat. Always great to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. We need all of your experience and all of your analysis now to get this thing back on track. Cougar fans are wondering how far they can go. Before we look forward, do you want to pay homage to Richie Saunders? That is, so few players play 4 years at one school, and he was 3.5 seasons in and then had that happen.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I love Richie, and you're right. It's becoming more and more rare to see a guy play 4 years. And listen, Richie had opportunity and left a lot on the table to stay at BYU, and he felt like that was best for him and his family. He loves the school, and I love it, so that makes me love him even more. I mean, you can't help but feel that way. And you know, one of the things that's cool about a guy that stays at 4 years, at least for me, is you really get to know him. And I became, you know, I would call Richie a good friend, and his parents, they go on the road trips, and I spend a lot of time with them, and they've become dear friends to me. And so there's a level of investment with those guys that maybe you don't get with some other guys just because they're there longer. And I've gotten to know Richie and just think he's, you know, one of the best people, let alone basketball players. And I have a 17-year-old daughter that loves to go to the games, loves BYU, and her favorite, she told me the other day, her favorite all-time player was Richie Saunders, and Richie took the time to get to know her name. And when a famous college basketball player walks by and says, hey Stratton, how's it going? You know, that means a lot. And so, you know, I'm heartbroken for him. I'm not worried about his basketball career so much because I just know how hard he works. And if he wants something, he's going to work and get it, and he'll get over this injury. But, yeah, I mean, for BYU's prospects, it certainly is problematic. But aside from that, I'm just heartbroken for Richie and his family. But knowing them like I do, it's a minor speed bump as far as they're concerned. I mean, obviously, it's a tough situation to go through it at this time, but I think in the long run, Richie's going to be more than fine. But just on a personal level for me, as someone who is around the team and has spent a lot of time with Richie, in a lot of ways, it feels like your own kid that's having to go through this, and that's really hard. So I love the Saunders family. I love Richie, and wish them all the best. And it's about all you can say on these kind of moments. And so we'll see what happens with the Cougars going forward. I'm sure you want to talk about that as well. But yeah, I think Richie is. I've been doing it for 30 years. I've been watching it for 50, BYU basketball, and Richie's one of the greatest ever as far as people and players.
Yeah, I think the sad part is he'll be what he's going to be at the professional ranks, whether it's overseas, NBA, or a combination of both, but he'll never be able to get back what he's going to miss these next 5-6 weeks, and that's gone forever, and then that's what sucks the most, and so that's so unfortunate. Injuries happen, we know, or situations happen. You know, Jimmer's thing on Saturday was fun for everybody, but we all remember that Brandon Davies wasn't there for the stretch run, and they still went to the Sweet 16. And so the way I look at this is I'm not ruling out another Sweet 16 appearance in Kevin Young's second season. He brought guys in because he thought that he can play. This guy is a professional coach who has evaluated and coached pro players, and now he's bringing these guys in, and there's a number of guys who haven't had the opportunity. Now the opportunity presents itself. He's forced, and this may be a little bit of a criticism of Kevin Young, but the bench wasn't developed the way it needed to be. For whatever reason, guys were in and out. It's like now they know, okay, I've got to play. And this is a great opportunity for guys like Kostic and obviously Boscovich has played, but a couple other guys that can get some time now and have an opportunity to play and maybe put yourself in that mindset of these guys. They can be a little more relaxed. Hey, I know I'm going to play because he didn't have anybody else. He's got to play me. So he brought me in here because I can shoot or whatever. So I'm really looking forward to seeing 2 or 3 of these guys who haven't been getting any minutes an opportunity now. And so that's why I have a level of confidence that this team could still compete as far as what they've got going. Speak to the guys that have not been the stars and have not been getting consistent time, what this opportunity presents to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right on, PK. I mean, you're a lot smarter than you look, man. Because I think which isn't much.
You
hit it. You hit it right on. I mean, I've been in both spots where I'm a kind of a sub guy and also then a starter, regular minute guy, and it's a real mindset change for you. You're not playing, oh no, if I turn it over, I'm going to be sitting on the bench in 5 seconds. You know, it's
right.
I'm going to get extended minutes on the floor. I'm important to this team. I can make a mistake and still stay on the floor. And I think you even saw it in that Colorado game. I mean, Maras hits a couple threes,
right.
Kostic hits a couple, and so I think with that mentality change, that will help. And I mean, we'll see. I mean, the bottom line is BYU's got maybe the best player in the country, and then a guy that just had 39 Saturday. So you got two of the best players in the country. But you're right. It's been a weird season with the bench because, like, one game I'll think, oh, well, that guy, that's the guy. Like, Hadim Boop will have an amazing line. Like, let's go him. And then he doesn't play the next game. And it's been scattered, and I don't know what's necessarily going on behind the scenes with that. I mean, coaches are with the guys every day and know what are best for the team. But it's right. You're right. It's hard to really develop the Division I collegiate confidence that you need if you don't even know if you're going to get a minute or two in a game. And so listen, it's let's see if any of these guys can rise to the opportunities. I hate injuries more than anything, but then what an injury means for someone may be an opportunity, and it's certainly an opportunity for guys like Tyler Maras and Alexa Kostic and Mihailo Boskovic, and let's see if those guys can step up to the plate. Now, maybe you can somewhat, like in Colorado, you make some threes, and maybe, Richie makes 3 or 4 threes a game. Maybe you get 3 or 4 threes out of those guys. But what I really worry about losing Richie is just the consistent, relentless effort on defense, the relentless effort on the boards, the leadership. All those things are what I worried. I hope that BYU with AJ and Rob just picking up the slack even more, and then other guys stepping up their games offensively, that maybe you can try and fill in what Richie does offensively. But man, the other things that Richie does, I just don't know that they can really approximate what he put on the floor. So my expectations, to be honest, PK, are a lot lower for this team than a week ago. Even a week ago, they weren't playing particularly well. But with that said, you still got a month to go here. And I do think Kevin Young is a great coach, an experienced coach, and there are opportunities, and you do have the two of the best players in the country. So let's not count them out completely. I don't think you are.
No.
And in a tournament setting, it's about matchups, but the room for error certainly is diminished for BYU, and they're going to have guys step up that previously have not done so, and so that's a question mark. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be tough tomorrow night down at Arizona, but they're going to have opportunities to show what they're made of, and if they're resilient and can take advantage of the opportunities that have come, and see if they can come together as a team to find a way to win some games here at the end.
Hard to put this all on one guy because they don't have another Saunders, so it's going to have to be spread around. But I don't know that it's going to be spread around evenly. And it is hard to be the fourth or fifth guy out there on the court. And I think Kennard Davis Jr. has done a good job of moving the ball a lot of times when maybe he could have shot it. But, man, AJ and Rob Wright are over there, and Saunders is over there. Maybe you ought to move the ball. Maybe you ought to throw a lob to Keita. Now is there room for him to not just shoot threes, but to drive the ball. And if he can pass off the dribble, he might really open our eyes. Or am I just dreaming and asking way too much of him?
No, listen, these guys, all these guys have played in, Europe or high-level basketball in some capacity or another. They weren't recruited because they're nice guys necessarily. They have skills, they have abilities, and a lot of times your role is limited to a certain thing, shooting threes or whatever, and you have a lot more breadth of talent than just that. And a guy like Alexa Kostic, I think, is capable. He's actually pretty strong kid and quick. I thought he played terrific defense in that Colorado game, so he can maybe do some things that you wouldn't think about. You think, well, he's just kind of this three-point shooter. And Tyler Maras, I watched him last year at Idaho and playing BYU. I thought he was a super hard-nosed guy that could really take it to the rim and do other things. So I think there's more to their games than you think. And Mihailo Boskovic, I think, it's just about kind of reining him in. I think he's got real talent. And so, you've got guys that I think have the ability and skill set to really broaden their game and help the team in ways that they haven't before. But like we've been talking about, when it's a minute or two here or there, it's hard to really feel comfortable to do different things than what you're expected to do. But when you're on the floor and you get confidence and you're comfortable, you kind of, the game slows down a little bit for you, then it's your full game that's on display rather than just one or two specific aspects of it.
Specifically against Arizona, it seems like they have 10 guys who are 6'10 and above, right? We'll see who's available, because I know they had some injury issues the other day against Texas Tech and the loss of McHale with a couple of the big guys. And we know Wright can get in to the bucket, so not easily, but he has the ability. At the same time, he's shooting 46% from three. So what do you think about maybe having DeBonsa initiate the offense a little bit more and trying to find Wright, because he's short, and against those tall guys, against Arizona, he was getting in, but finishing was another issue, and maybe have him spot up, because 46% from three, I mean, obviously that's off the charts. So maybe go in that direction. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Again, I think we saw that at Colorado. We've seen it more and more lately. AJ had, I think, 8 assists or something like that against Colorado. And Rob Wright, he started out the season, I thought, I don't know if this guy is going to be a three-point threat, because he was not great early, but he has found something, and he just cannot miss from the three-point line. So I think AJ likes to have the ball in his hands. I think, with his size, he can see over the defense. He's a good passer. He can create on his own. So, he's once he starts driving, you watch defenses, like all 5 guys, wherever they're on the floor on defense, are looking at AJ, and they're like, when do I go help? What I'm watching this guy. He demands a lot of attention. So, if he can draw the double or even triple and then pass out of that to open shooters like we've been discussing, Russ and Kostic and others, or Rob Wright. Rob's probably not going to be left alone a lot, but man, he's been so good from the 3-point line, and clearly he can get in the paint. And even against bigger teams, he's been smarter when he does get in the paint, not kind of forcing things as much and making good decisions himself. So I think that's exactly the right way, is kind of let AJ put the ball in his hands, let him be the decision maker, use Rob's talents, and then after that, you're kind of finding for role guys to just step in and make the shots when the shots are there. Tyler Mraz and Alexei Kostic should never shoot a contested shot, ever. It's good. All things we've been talking about, there's going to be plenty of open shots for them. So wait for those opportunities, take your time, knock down those shots so you can punish teams that try to stop AJ and Rob. But really it's about AJ and Rob doing their thing, and I think that's the right approach for BYU going forward. Get the ball in AJ's hands, let him be a scorer or a distributor as he sees fit, depending on what the defense is going to do to him. Colorado did a heck of a job on him, but because they did a heck of a job on him, Rob Wright gets 39 points. And so you can make those kind of decisions and see how it develops. Obviously, without Richie on the floor, you're going to have to figure out exactly how you want to do things. And AJ, without having Richie to kick to or take attention from, is it's going to be easier to stop AJ because you can focus more on him. So, I mean, that was a lot of word salad there, but the point is you got to go with the guys that got you there, AJ and Rob, and let them do their thing and put them in the best situation possible for them to succeed. And then we'll just see how it kind of goes forward for BYU without Richie.
You don't get a lot of practice time, and coaches have to decide how to spend it. I think they should spend some time practicing for box and 1, diamond and 1, triangle and 2, because I think they're going to see it. I think that with this injury, I don't see how somebody isn't going to throw that. And I don't know which team, and I don't know when, but they got 6 games. You got to figure they got at least 2 in the conference tournament, another game 2 or 3 in the NCAA tournament. I think they're going to see something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many great coaches. You look at at least the Big 12, it's like a list of Hall of Fame coaches. You got Kelvin Sampson, I mean, go down the list, and Bill Self, and so they've been around long enough. They've played against a lot of good players and know what works. And so you've seen a lot of different approaches to AJ. I thought Colorado actually did about the best job I've seen on him. They had a kid that was tall and pretty quick and kind of stayed on his feet. So he didn't, and of course he was getting a lot of help too. They would help when he needed it. But so you at this point, AJ's seen pretty much everything. I haven't seen a boxing one or triangle two, and maybe that's what they do now because you're focusing more on stopping one or two guys rather than three. And I wouldn't be surprised. And if you get in the NCAA tournament, it's partly because they have a great coach and people are looking for ways to neutralize what you do best. But hopefully at this point, regardless of what they throw at AJ, he's kind of seen the gambit. Even if they go to like a triangle two and they're doubling him or whatever, I mean, he'll figure it out. But the point is, every game's a challenge when you have that visibility, top draft pick, in the conversation for National Player of the Year. If I'm a coach, I've got the very first thing, and the first five things I have to do is stop that guy. And they're really good coaches, so you'll see different ways. But if you're that guy, you find a way to play against anything that anybody throws at you. If you're that good, you'll find a way. And even if it's getting somebody else the points, you find a way to if someone's going to throw something at you, they're going to have to give up something. And anyway, I think AJ is remarkable as young as he is to be able to kind of recognize what teams have tried to throw at him and still have had such great success.
I know the goal at the start of the year, everyone talked Final Four. It felt like that really cooled off with the 4-game losing streak, losing 5 out of 6. But don't you think as we sit here right now, there are going to be teams in the Sweet 16 we can't predict, you can't guarantee. Shouldn't the Sweet 16 still be the goal for this team?
I think so. I think they're good enough to do that. And, tournament a lot is about matchups too, and who's hot. But again, I go back to the fact that if you tell me before the season that we're going to have 2 of the best players in the country on your team, and then you just kind of have to find a way with the other guys, that's rare to have one really good player, and to have 2 like that is impressive. So I think they can. It's going to be tough at Arizona. I don't have a lot of high expectations, but then you've got Iowa State and Texas Tech, who are obviously awesome, but they're at home, so that's a reasonable prospect, and maybe you get 1 or 2 of those, and that would be a huge win. The road games are going to be a challenge at West Virginia and Cincinnati. Nothing's a given for this team now, but if you could find a way to go 500 the rest of the way and win a game or 2 in the conference tournament, I think you'll have had enough time to kind of figure out what you're going to do post Richie. You've got 2 of the best players in the country. Who's to say you can't win a few games in the NCAA tournament? But yeah, you're right. I mean, I was all in on Final Four. Maybe I jinxed the guys, but I just loved that team at the start of the year. And so I had super high expectations, and the reality has changed. I mean, they're a different team right now. And so you have to alter your expectations. But I think a Sweet 16 would be awesome, and it is within reach for this team. I mean, we're going to learn a lot about how this team is going to be in the next week or 2 post Richie. But hopefully, I mean, that's my hope, that they find a way to get right and play well going into the tournament. And in the tournament, who knows what can happen. I mean, you can ride really good players as long as they can, do their thing. And we've seen that many times in the tournament. Somebody gets hot and you can make a little bit of a run. But we'll see. I mean, you're absolutely right. My expectations have lessened, but they're not gone for this team in any way.
Mark, we appreciate it as always. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be listening to you down the stretch here.
All right, my friends. I love you guys. Appreciate all that you do and always being so kind to me and having me on. So thanks.
There's Mark Durrant, BYU radio voice. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are on the way.